all YouTubers out there, and welcome to the first episode of an exciting new YouTube web series called NAC for It, a smart show for smart people like you. Anyways, I'm Mac Destroyer. You guys are tubers. Enough with the introductions. Let's start learning stuff. Okay everyone, today we're going to be learning about electronic cigarettes. What are they made of? How do they work? Are they safer than traditional cigarettes? This just so happens to be a really extensive topic of discussion, and for that simple reason we're not going to be getting into any specific brand or model or type of e-cig. Just this is going to be about e-cigs as a whole and what they're about. On another note, I would like to state that this video is purely of personal opinions based on personal experiences as well as personal research. Some of you may experience different things or feel differently than what's described in this video. You know, don't just take my word for it. Go out there and do the research for yourself. There's quite a bit of talk going on these days about electronic cigarettes. Some people view these the same as regular cigarettes and some even worse than regular cigarettes, while electronic cigarette users maintain their stand that it's not only better for themselves, but better for the environment as well as the public when the dust, or should I say vapor, settles. My personal experience with electronic cigarettes over the last 3 to 4 years has been nothing but positive. I was a traditional cigarette smoker for 12 years before I quit with electronic cigarettes. And personally, without electronic cigarettes, I would not have been able to quit. I now have better smell and taste. I can breathe better. I don't wake up in the morning hacking up mucus and black, nasty stuff. I have less headaches. I spend less money than what I did on traditional cigarettes. All of these are positive things. More often than not, when I am using my electronic cigarette, I don't really have any complaints because it usually doesn't leave a bad smell behind. Most people are intrigued by whatever smell it is that I have in there. I even have a couple of buddies who don't smoke at all. They just like to try my vape every once in a while. Let's get down to business and put my 2 cents aside for a minute. What is an electronic cigarette? It's a battery-operated device that, when activated, vaporizes a liquid usually containing nicotine that's inhaled by the user to simulate smoking without the thousands of harmful carcinogens that come along with traditional cigarettes. What are they made of? What is an electronic cigarette really made of? They are made up of a battery, an atomizer, and sometimes a juice well. What kind of battery? Some of these things look different than others. Do they all take the same batteries? No. Most electronic cigarettes use a rechargeable lithium-ion battery. Some devices allow you to remove the battery and replace it once the battery goes bad. Others don't allow you to replace the battery, and when it's done, you just need to recycle it properly. What is an atomizer? Well, an atomizer kind of looks like this. An atomizer is a device containing a metal alloy coil, usually Kanthal, has a positive connection on one end, a negative connection on the other end, connected to the battery. When activated, warms up. To get the juice to the coil for it to turn into vapor, when the coil heats up, there is a wick that is ran through the coil, and if there is a juice well applicable, the wick is also run into the juice well. That's what that would look like. When there is no juice well, usually on what they call RDAs, or rebuildable drip atomizers, the juice is applied directly to the cotton wick and coil. Kind of like what you see here. What is the juice? Well, as I said before, unlike traditional cigarette companies, e-juice manufacturers openly tell you what goes into their product. It's made up of a few simple ingredients: propylene glycol, vegetable glycerin, flavoring, and nicotine if you choose. And it's kind of funny because it does make me wonder why everybody's so hyped up about the FDA getting involved with the juice. Don't get me wrong, I'm all about legitimizing the industry in any and all ways possible, but they have been in control of the tobacco industry this entire time, and they have yet to force any of the tobacco companies to put any of the ingredients on the side of their boxes. Just a warning that it'll cause cancer or some other type of harmful thing. What I like about e-juice manufacturers is they've told you what's in their juice from the start without having to be told to. I would also like to make the suggestion to any of you guys out there purchasing e-juice for the first time. I suggest buying something that was made in the United States. Nothing against any of the other countries out there, just I've been disappointed by every single e-juice that was made outside of this country. If any of you guys out there know of a foreign brand of juice that is good, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to give it a try. So let's check out the ingredients. What is propylene glycol? Well, propylene glycol is described as a synthetic liquid that absorbs water. It's generally recognized as safe for food by the FDA and is used in the food, pharmaceutical, and chemical industries. According to a CDC website, propylene glycol has no cancer classification as well as no chemical classification. Check below in the description for a link. So, we know that it's been used in many things in our everyday life, but little is known about the effects of inhaling it. An article posted on newsmedical.net about a study performed in 1942 says that propylene glycol may be a powerful deterrent against pneumonia, influenza, and other respiratory illnesses when vaporized. Check the description below for a link for that as well. What is vegetable glycerin, or VG? It is a clear, odorless liquid, sweet in taste, derived from plant oils such as coconut, palm, and soy. It too is deemed safe for food by the FDA, and it is used in a number of household products such as toothpaste, shampoos, lotions, even some of the food and drinks you consume. What goes into e-juice flavoring, and is any of it harmful? E-juice is made with the same natural and artificial flavors that go into our foods and drinks. The only real difference is concentrate level. You can't just take 100% lemon juice and drip it onto your atomizer and hope it'll taste good. It needs to be mixed to the right concentrate level and then added to propylene glycol or vegetable glycerin in order for it to taste good. Flavor can be altered in your e-juice with the level of nicotine that you have in it. The higher levels of nicotine that go into your juice, the less physical room there is for you to mix in flavor. So keep that in mind when you're buying e-juice. You may very well like something at a lower strength nicotine than you do at a higher strength nicotine simply because it tastes better to you and is more satisfying that way. So what about the nicotine in e-juice? Isn't that still bad? Well, yes, nicotine is a drug and it does have some addictive properties to it. However, it's very similar to caffeine as far as health risks and addiction levels are concerned. Most studies done on nicotine have been done through traditional cigarette smoke and not so much on the drug itself. An article on another government website, which I'll post a link for in the description below, talks about a study that was performed about the long-term side effects of inhaled nicotine. A rat was observed for a 2-year period, and at the end of that 2-year period, it was concluded that there was no negative side effects of the nicotine when inhaled in its purest form. There's also another article on discovermagazine.com, which I'll post a link for in the description as well, that talks about the wonder drug that is nicotine. Now, I don't know about all of that, but you can check that out for yourselves and see what you think. Now it boils down to the question, are they safer than traditional cigarettes? Until more conclusive studies come up on long-term effects of the ingredients inside electronic cigarettes, I'll stick with the term less harmful. Although, if one were to look at the ingredient listings of cigarettes compared to electronic cigarettes, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that one of these is extremely less harmful than the other. Are there any real negative side effects of electronic cigarettes? And if so, what are they? I would say the most obvious side effect is restricted airflow. When you are breathing in anything other than air, you have restricted airflow. When you are climbing a mountain, running a marathon, swimming, jogging, riding your bike, throwing your frisbee, chasing your dog, you get it. Restricted airflow happens. It happens all the time. And like all of these other activities, when you're vaping, restricted airflow is temporary. But again, not everybody's going to have the same experience. I've never had a negative side effect at all when vaping. As I said, if anything, I can breathe better now. Allergies to the ingredients is a possibility. Some of you folks out there do have allergies, and just because you're using e-juice, it doesn't mean your allergies aren't affected by this. There are things that go into some of these juices that you could be allergic to. You could be affected by one of the main ingredients, be it propylene glycol, vegetable glycerin. You could even be, affected by one of the flavors that goes into a certain juice. There's been no life-threatening reports so far, but irritation has come up. Last up, we have secondhand vapor. Now, any logical person can understand that if vapor is better for me than traditional cigarette smoke, then secondhand vapor is going to be better for the environment and the general public than traditional secondhand cigarette smoke. We do still run into the possibility of allergies. Yes, folks, even though you inhaled it first and then exhaled it, there are still nanoparticles inside that vapor that could sneak into the airways of an unsuspecting passerby and cause an allergic reaction. So please be aware of your surroundings and respectful of others. Thankfully, I have not had this happen. Most of the people that I vape around are usually excited to be around me when I am vaping because I have something that smells delicious. So if you do have allergies, be cautious, as I'm sure you already are. And even if you don't, please be aware of your surroundings and respectful of others, as I said before. And try not to do this in public places such as, movie theaters, grocery stores, or restaurants. These probably aren't the best places to be using your electronic cigarette. Are there any misconceptions with electronic cigarettes? Yes. One I've heard is that, these electronic cigarette companies are trying to entice the children with their fruity flavors and their fancy hardware. Well, I'll tell you what, as I've gotten older, my taste buds still work the same. I like sweet. All of the places I go into that sell electronic cigarettes, though, every one of them have signs up that say anybody under the age of 18 is prohibited. Most of these places, you're not even allowed in the store if you're not 18. The other good one I heard is that electronic cigarette use could lead to traditional cigarette use due to the nicotine addiction. I find this to be highly unlikely due to the fact that the 20+ electronic cigarette users I know have not only lessened the use of traditional cigarettes, if not gotten rid of them entirely, but they've also lowered their milligram strength in nicotine, and some of them even 0. I personally now am down to 0 and 3 because it's more of a habitual nature than it is an addiction to nicotine, I guess. So, in summary, I think that electronic cigarettes are positive, not only for smokers, but for the general public and the environment as well. I personally am 100% for them. Like I said, without electronic cigarettes, I would have never stopped using traditional cigarettes. It's more than just quitting for me. It was a habitual thing. I'm constantly hand to mouth. Electronic cigarettes helps me do that. I also ask that anyone that disagrees with electronic cigarettes or just doesn't like electronic cigarettes to please look into it a little more if this video has not already convinced you, and see for yourself. That's going to do it for this episode, guys and gals. For more information and links, check the description below. Any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll try to get to them if I can. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. And until I see you guys next time, vape responsibly. Stay tuned for the next episode, folks, where we'll be diving deeper into the electronic cigarette world, into the cig-alike model. Specifically, we'll be talking about a clean cigarette brand. Not exactly sure when this thing will be posted, so keep your eyes open.